I'm really perfecting this whole streaming thing right now is what I'm doing. I've mastered it, and I don't think we have to even worry about anything really. I think I'm just going to go with it. I'm not even looking at the chat while I do this. I say we do this in chronological order, in order of release, I should say, not chronological, because that would mean we started with MGS3. Let's go with order of release and talk about our feelings. I think the way we do this, by the way, because I was just saying, like, I don't know if I do like the main game plus the game with all the extras in it. I say what we do is we just go with our feeling for the game. Like, this is a good example right here. Metal Gear 1, the original MSX game. It has a couple different versions. There's the MSX version, there's the Nintendo Entertainment System version, and then there's the version that came with like MGS3 Subsistence. So, rather than rank it 4 separate times, because that'd be stupid, I'm gonna go with the one that I played the most of. I played the Nintendo one too, I should say. I actually have a cartridge version of this on my Nintendo. When I was like 18 and I first moved out of my house and I first made an eBay account, the first thing I did, the very first purchase I made was Metal Gear 1, because I had never played it before. And that version of that game sucks! It fucking sucks! But, well, actually, you know what? Let's be a little controversial. Let's be a little spicy to begin with here. Metal Gear 1 kind of sucks. Like, maybe not compared to games of the time. Like, I would actually say, aside from like Mario, most NES games and slash MSX games of that era suck. And I'm not sorry for feeling that way. I mean, for one of those, Metal Gear is pretty good. But if you've ever played Metal Gear, I don't know about you, but whenever I play Metal Gear 1, I'm stupid. I've beaten it, I think 3 times, maybe 4. I'm pretty sure it was 3 times. And every time I need a guide sitting next to me. The first time I played it, like, just Googling a guide wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. The YouTubes didn't exist at that time, so I actually went to like a GameFAQs website. I printed the pages physically and I put them in a duotang. So I made my own guidebook for this game, and it didn't make the experience very good. But then again, it kind of invented the stealth genre. And as we said, to give it a little bit of its flowers, for games of that era, it was okay. Which is the only reason I'm not putting it in D, because I don't play this game for fun. I'm never in the mood to play Metal Gear. I play it because I'm in the mood to play the entire series, so we might as well get it out of the way. So with that being said, I say Metal Gear, even though it has a cool Michael Biehn cover, goes in C tier. And I think that feels right. And by the way, I will rank them in the tier as well. So the one at the front is also gonna be my favorite, and then it will go in descending order of quality. Right? Thank you, Chaos. I was thinking the other day, like, I want to start trying to experiment with a few things. Video games, they're the reason I'm doing this. They're a lot of fun, but I just wanted to find a new fun way to engage with them. And yeah, what I'm saying is I invented the idea of streaming a tier list. That was me. No one's ever done this before me. So if you think I deserve the praise, give me a follow. So yeah, Metal Gear 1 fits in C, and I think that's fair. Fuck anyone who disagrees, because I'm right. Metal Gear 2 is a very different story. Metal Gear 2 is amazing. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. I remember the first time I played it, and maybe it's because of how shit Metal Gear 1 is. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit more. Maybe it's because of how shit Metal Gear 1 is. I was expecting this one to be more of the same. I was kind of rolling my eyes at it, going like, guess I gotta do it just to say I beat it. Otherwise, I'm not a real fan. I was doing that whole thing. And then the first, I guess you'd call it a cutscene started. The first dialogue started between Campbell and Snake, and it felt like Metal Gear Solid. Just I was reading it instead of hearing it. Like, the writing in Metal Gear 2 is seriously amazing for games of that time. Like, I can't think of a game with a better story between this and I'm not going to say Metal Gear Solid, even though my brain wants to. But between this and, let's say, 3D games. In 2D games, I think Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake has my favorite story in all video games, and I think it might even be the most well-written one. And I love things like I love things like Super Metroid because the ambience and stuff, but like Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake has amazing ambiance. Like, again, I feel like I'm playing Metal Gear Solid when I play this. It can get a little tricky. There's some parts of the game that don't make the most logical sense. And for those that have played it, there is a swamp section that is super fucking annoying to navigate through. And actually, whenever I feel like playing this game, sometimes I think about that swamp section, and that's how I talk myself out of playing it. So it does have something like that, which is the only reason I'm saying it's definitely not S tier. I'm just debating between whether it's A or B. Oh, you know, for a 2D game, it's pretty friggin' good. It's pretty good. But there's so many like annoying parts. There's a couple annoying boss fights in there. Running Man is kind of a stupid fight. It's not hard, it's just stupid. There's the swamp. My brain is telling me it's A, but my heart is telling me it's B. You land firmly in the B tier, sir. Okay. By the way, I've never done a stream like this. If I go like this, are you guys seeing my OBS screen? No, you're not. I can see my own screen. Okay, perfect. I did it right. Never mind. Disregard. I'm doing it right. I do everything right. Like ranking Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake in B. Now, Snake's Revenge is a game that I thought I would do a playthrough of this year, and then I started trying to do it on stream and gave up after about an hour. I have a little weird nostalgia for this game, not because I owned it as a kid, but because right after I got into Metal Gear Solid for the first time and started to learn about it as a series, I didn't know there were 2D Metal Gear games when I was playing those. And then one day, I had a big pile of comics that I kept next to my bed. I was reading a Spider-Man and Ant-Man comic, and at the very back, there was an advertisement for a game called Snake's Revenge, which made me go like, oh, that's weird. Kind of like Solid Snake. And then I looked at the image more and I noticed it had a Konami logo on it. And I was like, do they have another character named Snake? And then I noticed this character, let's see if I can zoom in. Oh, not very well. But I noticed that this guy right here, who looks like Harrison Ford mixed with Gary Busey, is also wearing a headband like Solid Snake. And I thought, wait a minute, is that Solid Snake? And then I did a little research and I found out that it is, in fact, kind of a Metal Gear game, but not really. Then, years and years later, after I played these two, I finally tried to play this one. I think I downloaded a ROM for it. I can't even remember how I was doing it. But this game fucking sucks, okay? It is just as unclear what to do as Metal Gear 1, maybe even more so, only it's super aggro with all the enemies it throws at you. It says fuck it to being a stealth game. Most of the time you're walking onto a screen, you're gonna walk directly into an enemy's point of view, which is not fun in the slightest. It has the most annoying music, the most annoying radio team. If ever there was a candidate for D tier, it is Snake's Revenge. Even though I have that one really cool memory of discovering that these 2D Metal Gear games exist because of it, it goes in D tier. I just realized I also broke my rule of going in order of release, because this technically came out before Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake and was in fact one of the key factors to Kojima coming back and making Metal Gear 2 himself, because he did not like the one that Konami made. So we've already broken the rules. This is a professional stream. And then the Metal Gear dry spell happened for a few years. There was a big gap until 1998 when they started designing Metal Gear 3 at the time for the 3DO console. And then when the 3DO released for $1 million and nobody bought one, they changed its name to Metal Gear Solid, because the Solid was kind of like, it's in 3D now, we have solid polygons. And they moved it onto the PlayStation 1. And and that's where this game came in. Fun fact, I played this game after Metal Gear Solid 2. I had no idea what to expect. Anytime someone said Shadow Moses in Metal Gear 2 or Metal Gear Solid 2, I was like, huh, that must have been the name of some sort of war that Solid Snake fought in. They're really making it sound like Metal Gear Solid 1 is like a full-scale war game, like a Call of Duty where he plays Solid Snake. And then I rented it from Blockbuster and was very surprised to find out that it was linear like Metal Gear Solid 2 and that it takes place in Alaska, and it was just really cool. This game has a vibe that I really like. It's a vibe different than the rest of the series. It's got this really lonely feeling to it. Kind of like a lot of the best PlayStation 1 games had, like kind of a lonely, kind of cozy feeling. Like I almost like it occupies the same place in my heart as like a survival horror game, even though it's not. But when you have that like droning music in the basement section, and like it kind of has the same vibe to me as those games. And you got the cold snow and stuff blowing, and oh, something about this game just takes me to a really special place in my head, and it really almost relaxes me when I play it, as stressful as it can be, because sometimes those PlayStation 1 games can be a little bullshit. But this is my long-winded way of saying that this is one of the all-time classics. It's amazing. It definitely goes in S tier, and I don't think anyone would disagree. I almost put it in A tier because going back to play it now, there's some parts that my old man brain isn't as good at as when I was a little kid playing on the PlayStation 1. I can't quite keep up with Ocelot during the torture sequence the same way that I used to. I can still do it, but only barely. The fight with Metal Gear Rex is really hard, but that's really more on me than it is on the game. So I say Metal Gear Solid 1 obviously goes in S tier. After Metal Gear Solid 1, we get Metal Gear Solid 2, which I don't even need to do preamble. We're gonna get over here. Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite video game of all time. As I was saying before, my introduction to the Metal Gear Solid series, I got a PS2 for Christmas one year, and I was like, this is awesome. What do I play on this? Because I didn't have a PlayStation 1, I had an N64, so I wasn't really familiar with all the PlayStation family of games. And it just so happened that Christmas 2001 was around the time Metal Gear Solid 2 came out. It came out in November of that year, and they had commercials for this thing all over the TV. Like, they played all the time, and they were the most hyped commercials you've ever seen. They were like yelling at the screen, the best video game for PlayStation 2, says this website. And like, it looked amazing. I had never seen such real looking people, which sounds weird to say, because, you know, Snake Scott has really polygonal cheekbones and stuff in the game. But at the time, like, seeing the guards' flashlights shine at the camera was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I remember in the commercial, like, Snake be fighting backup guards that have their ballistic shields out, and you'd see the shields, oops, I just minimized the screen. You'd see their shields like shatter into a million pieces, and it was like, again, like, I remember my dad looking over my shoulder when I was playing it once and going, oh great, guess they just let you kill real people now, and being like really snarky about it because he did not like the violent video games. And that just made it seem way cooler. Chaos also mentions 9/11 in the chat. Fun fact for those that might not know, there is a cut section from Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah, if you've ever been like, oh, that was abrupt when Arsenal Gear crashes into New York City, that is because 9/11 happened. And it was like a month before the game came out. Like, they were probably pressing discs at the time, and then they were like, oh shit, we gotta take this part out when this giant structure crashes into New York City. So they just like dragged it into the recycle bin, and I think it's fine. I don't think the game's any worse off for it. I'd be really interested in like even a screenshot of what that part of the game even would have been, because like it had to have been finished, right? That late in development, like, it's, unless Konami lost it, which I would not be surprised after what we saw with Silent Hill HD. They probably don't even have any of that old shit anymore, but I would be really fascinated to find out more about that New York section. So yeah, long-winded way of saying Metal Gear Solid 2, my favorite game of all time. I didn't even really get into why that is. Like, I just remember playing through that game. It's a complicated game, story-wise, even if you have played the other games in the series, and I hadn't. But that's part of what made it cool, is my brain was trying to understand what everybody was talking about. I was 12 years old. My brain was trying to like comprehend what's a Shadow Moses, what's a liquid snake. Like, all this stuff seems so cool. The cutscenes were doing that. Like, there's one cutscene where the snake's like, war is a video game. What better way to raise the ultimate soldier? And there's like a million solid snakes running on the screen in different directions at the same time. And they're like the MGS1 PlayStation 1 model of him. And I thought that was actual gameplay from MGS1. So it like created this weird mystique in my 12-year-old brain of what is this series? This is amazing. So that's also part of why it goes that far in the list, because like it just activated that childhood wonder for me. Oh boy, this list is gonna take a long time, and I did not bring any water. But whatever, we press on. After Metal Gear Solid 2, I was all the way in. Like, when they announced Metal Gear Solid 3, it was the first Metal Gear hype cycle I got to be a part of. And I remember these trailers coming out, and for me, it was like an event in my house. I watched every Metal Gear Solid 3 trailer seriously like a million times. And I was that guy. I was Charlie Day with the red string and the pins. I was like zooming in on every single frame, being like, what does this mean? It takes place in the 60s. How can that be? He looks like Solid Snake. But in this scene, they were really low res trailers, but in this scene, it looks like he's missing an eye. So is it Big Boss or is it Solidus? No, Solidus is missing the other eye. So it has to be just doing conspiracy theories all the way on the game. A lot of them turned out to be right. And that's when I first learned how fun it is to be a Metal Gear fan and await a new game coming out, because those hype cycles and those trailers are fucking crazy. They're fucking crazy. I keep opening the wrong window. Yeah, so MGS3, OG MGS3, I got it day of release, also came out in November, but it was November 2004. And it was the first time I ever said, I'm not going to stop playing this game until I beat it. And that's when I stayed up all night after school playing this game, and then falling asleep with the controller in my hand going down the Soros River, because I didn't know what the fuck to do to get out of the river the first couple times. And it's so long, and I had been up all night, that it basically hypnotized me. And I fell asleep controller in hand and woke up still in the Soros River on the game over screen, I think. So love this game, still love this game. I think, like, even though MGS2 is my favorite game in the series, and I think it has, well, it definitely has the most to say, even MGS1, I'd say, might have more to say than MGS3, maybe not, but I think MGS3 is the best game in the series, even though it's not my favorite one. It's the most fun to play, like, for sure. A lot of people say that's MGS5. I say that's MGS3. So this is tricky. It definitely goes in S. Does it go before or after MGS1? I'm gonna say yes today, but there are days of the week where MGS1 goes before it. So I'm just looking down at the list. These might be the only, like, in my brain, almost all of these are S tier. Like, if we're comparing them to other video games, it's my favorite series. In my brain, they're almost all S tier. Just know that this scale is relative to Metal Gear games. So if I say, I'm not even gonna give a real one. If I said like Metal Gear Solid Touch is A tier, or no, if I said it was D tier, but you really love D tier, I might love it too. I'm just saying, on the scale of Metal Gear games, it's a D tier. I wouldn't say it's a D tier overall, or would I? I might. We'll get there. Also broke my chronological order rule. Just realized again, because during the hype cycle for MGS3, Twin Snakes was announced and came out before MGS3 was released. Not long before either. I think it might have been the same year, even like a couple months before, which is super weird. The trailers for Twin Snakes had me fucking like running up the walls. Like, I think at the time I thought it would be better than MGS3. Like, some of those trailers are amazing. Seeing Liquid Snake look not like a potato man, but like a man was like insane to me, and I never thought we'd get to see it. And then the game came out. I went through, like, when it first came out, and this is the story for most mainline Metal Gear Solid games, when it first came out, I was like, this is the best game I ever played. My first time playing it. And then as time went on, and I played it more, I played the other games more, and I got older, I reevaluated it, and I kind of came to the same consensus that the general public has about it, which is, it's not very good. Doing Metal Gear Solid 1 in the engine of Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of breaks the whole balance of things. I miss that kind of droning David Lynch like droning, almost scary music from MGS1 that we were talking about that created that lonely kind of ambiance. It's kind of it's kind of like Matrixified a little bit, the music that they chose, because in that era everybody wanted to be the Matrix still, even though the Matrix had come out like 5 years before. The sequels are still coming out, so especially in the cutscene direction, it really shows how they wanted to copy the Matrix. They hired don't remember the director's name, but I'm pretty sure he directed Godzilla Final Wars to direct some new action for the cutscenes. And I both love and hate them. I love them for how dumb they are, and I hate them for how dumb they are, if that makes any sense. Seeing Solid Snake do a backflip off a missile is the coolest and dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's so cool, though. Legitimately, though, the Sniper Wolf scene where he does the backflip, kicks the rifle into his hand, spins around, and shoots her before she shoots him, that's pretty cool. And I know a lot of the defenders of this game say it's because they're trying to show that he's a super soldier. And it's like, yeah, I get that. He should be able to do things that normal humans can't. But like the scene, there's a scene where Snake is like peeking around a corner, spying on Ocelot and Liquid when they're in the room with like the PAL card reader. And rather than staying where he is or moving to an easier position, he does a sideways backflip over the archway of the door to get to the other side and listen from the other side. And like, I love that because I love dumb shit, but it's dumb and unnecessary. So a lot of that stuff kind of like breaks the immersion a little bit. I went through a phase, and I think generally a lot of people think that the voice acting in this game is worse than MGS1. They redid all the voice acting with most of the original actors in their parts. I think they changed Cyborg Ninja to from Greg Eagles because he already voiced the DARPA chief. He's voiced by Rob Paulson in Twin Snakes, and I actually kind of like him. I think he sounds okay. I think that's a fine change because otherwise you have two characters that sound the same in the game, and I don't have an issue with that. But the voice acting in general, like Naomi doesn't have an accent anymore in the game, neither does Mei Ling. At the time I didn't like it as much, and some people argue that it's not as well acted. I've kind of come around. I watched Dandy do a playthrough of this game, and as I was listening to it, I was like, you know, all of these actors, even though it doesn't sound quite right because I'm used to the MGS1 voice acting, I'm like, if I look at this objectively, they seem a lot more experienced and a lot more confident. Like Snake sounds kind of dumb in MGS1. Merle, you know, like he does that a lot, and I think he sounds like MGS2 Snake in Twin Snakes. I like that. And I think in general it's just more well acted, so I've come around on the voice acting. I think I'm okay with it. Mei Ling makes more sense. Mei Ling probably shouldn't have a Chinese accent if she grew up in California. You know what I mean? Like her parents were from there, but she wasn't. So I think it makes more sense, and I think it's better, and it jives better with MGS4 having Naomi have the same accent in both games, which is not an accent. So I've come around on that part of it. I am stalling for time trying to decide where Twin Snakes goes. I like Twin Snakes. I don't love it, but I think it's neat. I even came around on the music a little bit. Not better than the original, but I think it's cool for what it is. I think Twin Snakes, not better than Metal Gear 2, but I think Twin Snakes is a B tier game. if you're playing the series for the first time and can tolerate some aged aged PlayStation 1 era like gameplay and stuff like that, definitely start with Metal Gear Solid rather than Twin Snakes. But if you really don't think you're gonna be able to put up with like a game design from 1998, if like you've never played a PlayStation 1 game before, or maybe you have and you just like don't even think you could beat the game, there's probably not a problem with doing Twin Snakes instead. If you can track down a GameCube or an emulator, which is pretty easy with GameCube games. Some people might disagree with that. I think you're fine. It tells the same story beats. The script is almost completely unchanged. Like, you're fine. Just know that the goofiness wasn't there. Pretend Snake's not doing flips over doors and stuff like that. All right. So after that would have been MGS3. We already did MGS3. I don't remember the we missed a few chronologically. Let's wait on MGS4. Let's get some of these ones that came out before it out of the way first. Ghost Babel. Ghost Babel is the best Game Boy Color game. Yeah, I think I can say that confidently. Ghost Babel plays like Metal Gear 1 and 2, only better. In an alternate universe where we didn't get Metal Gear Solid, Ghost Babel would have been Metal Gear Solid 3. It's got a good story, especially for a handheld game, and it's got some cool like stuff in it. Like the end of the game, sorry, not the end of the game. If you play like the special secret missions in the game, there's a reveal when you finish the very last one, which is tricky, where they say, "Good work, Jack," and it's like, oh, I've been playing as Raiden. That's super cool. It's not canon, but it is kind of cool. A lot of the characters are pretty fun. Chris is a pretty fun like co-lead with Snake. Campbell's in the game. It's got some really good music. The boss fights in Ghost Babel are excellent. Blackguard's Viper is sick. What are they called? Black Cauldron, I think is the group. They got Slasher Hawk. He's pretty cool. There's some good stuff in Ghost Babel. Metal Gear Gander might be the hardest Metal Gear fight in the whole series, but it's cool looking. It kind of looks like Arsenal gear. Yeah, you know what? Ghost Babel is good. Ghost Babel, I think. It's hard, you know? I think Ghost Babel is an A, with the understanding that it is a Game Boy Color game, and despite that, manages to be I played the shit out of this. I played the shit out of this on my Game Boy Color. Yeah, you know what? Ghost Babel to me feels like an A. For making a Metal Gear game on the Game Boy Color, I don't know what they could have done better. So I almost, like, there's a part of my heart that's like, that almost makes it an S with that logic. I won't go that far, but Ghost Babel is a very solid A tier for me. No pun intended. Let's do Acid next. Acid? Metal Gear Acid is a weird one. I was pretty hyped for Metal Gear Acid. I think, first of all, what I like about Metal Gear Acid is they gave Snake a really cool design in that game. They gave him a sneaking suit that was a lot like his MGS1 sneaking suit, but he had like his hair and beard from MGS2, and I remember thinking that was such a sick look, especially in 2D. They make Snake look like shit. Like, he looks like he's been put through a garbage can in that game, and they make him fucking rip too. If you look at his arms in the game, they're like 3 times the size of my head. It's crazy. They did crazy shit with the 2D art in that game, and like, at the time, I didn't think I liked card games at all, so I didn't think I was going to be into it, but it was pretty good for a card. Not perfect. Like, I definitely didn't like a lot of the grid design. Like, at first I remember being angry that you were playing on a grid rather than walking around, because I had never played a tactics game before, and I was like, why the fuck did they do this? It would be so much more fun if they just let you walk, and I was super pissed about it. But I did beat it. The story is extremely convoluted, to the point where, like, maybe I knew at the time, but now when I try to remember it, I'm like, wait, so Snake was like Vigo, a brainwashed politician, but he wasn't actually him? Like, what was going on with that? I don't remember. you're a clone of Solid Snake, but you're also maybe this Vigo guy, but you're not. It turns like it's a weird game. I remember, is it Marionette Owl, or is Marionette Owl the one from Ghost Fable? I don't remember. But the lady with the puppets, because there's one in both games, the lady with the puppets was pretty cool. And I thought that storyline with the puppets taking over an airplane, which now that I'm saying it out loud, sounds insane, but I remember thinking it was kind of creepy, kind of cool, like in a horror kind of way. So that's neat. However, the gameplay in Ghost Fable and Acid 1 wasn't there yet. Like, it is not fun to play this game, and the story isn't very satisfying. Acid 1 is a C tier. It's better than Metal Gear 1. It's better than Metal Gear 1. Like, I didn't hate my time with Acid, but like, it's been years since that game came out and I've never gone back to it. So that should say it all right there. However, everything I just said is a million times better in Metal Gear Acid 2. They changed the graphics to cell shaded graphics, so it has this really cool look. They had this tagline in the trailers that was like, "Get ready for an all new acid trip," and they would like flash all these bright cell shaded colors at you. So there was kind of like a really cool reason for the change in the motif that I really liked. I didn't even talk about Teleco from Acid 1. She was kind of bland and nothing, but Venus in Acid 2 is this really cool, like, badass. She's like, oh, she's like evil at the end, if I remember right. She's awesome, and the fact her betrayal in the game came as a genuine surprise for me. Spoilers for like a really old PSP game that if you haven't played yet, you're probably not gonna play. But Acid 2, and they fixed the walking thing. Like, you're still on a grid, but now instead of just choosing the square you want to go to, you physically get to walk to the square, which sounds like a small deal, but it makes such a difference in how good this game plays. And also, this game came with a really stupid cardboard peripheral called the Solid Eye. It was like a box that you would like, it was like binoculars, but cardboard that you would wear in front of your face. And they made these 3D videos that you were able to unlock look normal. And a lot of them were videos of models, because I was gonna say Kojima perving out, but Kojima didn't make this one. So I don't know what was going on with those, but yeah, they had some cool, like, they had some really cool decks and stuff in Acid 2. The story is better in Acid 2. Everything in Acid 2 is amazing, and I would love a remaster. I would totally play through this game again. Acid 2. High B. You get high B tier. Acid 2 is fantastic. If it had like voice acting and a few other like quality of life improvements, I could say A, but high B seems right. Acid 2 rules. All right. What do we have now? Do I want to do? I should do Poops and then MGS4. Poops should go before MGS4. I hate Poops. I hate it so much. I think one of the biggest mistakes this series made, and some people might not like this, one of the biggest mistakes this series made was continuing Big Boss's story after MGS3, because everything Big Boss does, it's all there, baby. It's all there at the end of MGS3. He's mad when he walks up to that CIA director. His country betrayed him. He's got to start his own country with blackjack and hookers. And instead, we need to double down on the explanation. Like, he was kind of turning evil, but he wasn't all the way evil yet. Then this happened, and it felt really unnecessary. It was cool seeing a young Colonel Campbell. And I kind of wish they brought that character in, since they kept making Big Boss games, but he's only in this one, weirdly enough. And same with Gray Fox. Null is in the game, it's kind of neat. There's some good music. Calling to the Night is a banger in that game, but like, the story is stupid. And Gene, the bad guy Gene, was stupid. I don't remember what his deal was exactly. It's been so, Poops is another one that I only beat once, because it was so unpleasant to play. I haven't even gotten into why. Like, the gameplay in Poops, you have to recruit enemy soldiers, kind of like in MGS5, only you don't have Fulton recovery like you do in MGS5. You have to physically drag them all the way back through the level to the back of a truck, which is really funny, throwing guards into the back of your truck and kidnapping them, and all of a sudden they love you for it. That is funny, but the act of having to drag them all that way never should have happened. And I also remember thinking this game controlled like shit on the PSP. Like if you're emulating it, it's probably fine, but PSP, it didn't have a joystick. It had a little thumb, like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like a thumb nub, and it only had one of them, so you couldn't move the camera with it. You had to move the character with it, and it was a pain in the ass to play. Cutscenes were kind of cool. They were like motion comics, and they were voice acted. Yeah, I don't know. It ain't it, man. Oops, wasn't it? Portable Ops sucks. I would put Portal Ops in D, not Snake's Revenge. Portable Ops sucks. Like, Acid and Metal Gear 1 have a couple of redeeming factors. I can't think of anything Portable Ops does better than any other game in the series, and I never want to play it again. Some Gray Fox stands may disagree, but I think that's where that game belongs. Now, MGS4. MGS4, Guns of the Patriots, is a game that I have evaluated and reevaluated so many times throughout the course of my life. Again, kind of like MGS3, it had like the biggest pop off when its trailers would come out. The hype cycle for MGS4 was like nothing I had experienced. I think between MGS1, 2, and 3, there was a 3-year cycle between each of those games. But wait, let me think. Yeah, because MGS3 came out in 2004. MGS4 came out in 2008. It was released on my graduation day, I remember. So the whole time I was sitting in school, I was like, it's my last day of high school ever. So I know why I'm here. You only get one of those. But I could be at home playing the culmination to the cliffhanger ending at the end of MGS2 right now. And it was killing me. It was like murder not playing this game the whole time I was at school. And then I played it. And again, kind of like Twin Snakes, the first time I played MGS4, I remember coming out of the end credits being like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, the Nano Machine stuff was kind of stupid, but like that game was amazing. That was the best game ever made. Like, and because I wanted to believe it. And I think at the time I did genuinely believe it. And then I played through it again. And the Nano Machine stuff, because the explanation for almost everything that happened in that series was nanomachines, still really bugged me. It still really bugged me. In fact, it bugged me worse. And then like the long install times really bugged me. There were a few things about MGS4 that just weren't as good. Old Snake is cool as shit. I gotta give Old Snake his flowers. Old Snake is the coolest character design for a main character in this series. I will mark out for Old Snake to this day, because in video games, it's gonna sound stupid, you don't get to play as an old man. Like, yes, every video game protagonist is an old man, but you don't get to play as an old man. Solid Snake with his like Alex Trebek mustache and stuff, like he is a piece of shit in that game. He gets the shit kicked out of him. He's just this old guy. They put him into a microwave. They melt his face. He's like crawling towards the end of that game, literally. Like the stuff they put him through is so, it makes you feel just as exhausted as he does in the game. And I've always really liked that in MGS3. Also, David Hayter's voice acting as Old Snake, it's the best he does in the whole series. Like, I remember watching him explain all the different nuances in the Snake voices, and when he went from like the big boss kind of higher voice that he did for that into the low raspy MGS4 voice, I can't do it very well, but he had to shoot whiskey to do it apparently in the recording studio. It was pretty cool, and that subtle difference made me appreciate it so more. Like, he fucked up his throat playing that character, so he was also in like levels of pain. I wouldn't say akin to crawling through a microwave, but you know, it's kind of a shared pain, a phantom pain. That's not what that means. I'm tired, guys, but I'm dancing around it. MGS4 is something that, yeah, for a few years I was kind of feeling down on MGS4. And then for reasons that we'll talk more about when we get to Phantom Pain, something set in me, something set into my heart that made me realize MGS4 has those good old anime politics that I love so much. And even though I wouldn't say it's as good as these three, I would say it's almost as good as those three, and it does feel like it belongs with these games almost. Like it does feel like it feels like things are changing by the time this game comes out and the series is changing, but it's that good old school Metal Gear gameplay, updated of course. The controls are different, the camo system's different. Like there's such a cool jump from MGS1 to MGS2 gameplay wise, and then from MGS2 to MGS3, and then again from MGS3 to MGS4. Like they feel like distinctly different games, and I appreciate it. But the boss fights in MGS4 kind of suck. Like the Beauty and the Beast unit sucks compared to all the bosses in these games right here. Dead Cell gets hate a lot. I don't know why. Dead Cell's a fun thing. Fat Man is a fun bad guy. I don't know what to tell you. Fat Man's cool as shit. Vamp is cool. Like Dead Cell is awesome. Solidus is cool. The Beauty and the Beast unit. The fact that you got their backstories through short little codec calls, it really bugged me. I think MGS4 almost belongs here. It is so close to being here, I would say, but ultimately, high A. Switch places. That seems right. If you'd asked me before MGS5 came out, I would have definitely told you it was B. But it made MGS5 like made me nostalgic for this game in a weird way. It made me miss this game, how earnest it was, even when it was stupid. Like the way it was trying to be a good follow-up to MGS2, I appreciate it. MGS4 is fun. MGS4 goes there. And then we got the original MGS5 before MGSV, Peace Walker, which is an interesting game. I still believe they should never have continued this guy's story after 3. They should have left it alone. But for a PSP game, Peace Walker is fun to play. I like micromanaging my base, even though unlike MGS5, it's mostly just like spreadsheets basically that you're doing. It's like Football Manager, but you're Snake, so it's like Terrorist Manager. And that's kind of cool. Like it's weird. And they named a character Hot Coldman, which is really dumb and cool. That's so stupid. And like, there's a few disappointing things. Like every time you got a boss fight and the boss was like a tank or an APC, and you're like, oh, this shit again. I'm just gonna fight this tank so I can recruit it. All right. And it would take forever. And there's the stuff with the boss in the story. When they put the boss inside of a computer, or they made a computer think it was the boss or whatever to reinterpret her will. Like, it is dumb. Kojima had the limiters fully off when he was writing this game. Like, he needs a co-writer for stuff like this, I think, to tell him, hey, maybe having Zero be all like, hey, this is how the boss would want her will to be interpreted. She'd want to be a pod. A pod that can like control Metal Gears and stuff or whatever it was. I don't fully remember. That's so stupid and not in the fun way like a lot of these things are. That's really dumb to think that anybody, even in this series, would conceivably follow that line of logic. So Peace Walker has some problems with its story. Also, the game opens with, and hey, I don't know if this is controversial, guys. I think it's weird that Snake pervs out on a girl that he thinks is 14. Now, I know this is 2025, and with the way the world is, that might be controversial. But, and I know Big Boss is a bad guy, but I have to play as him. And I think that's weird. Is that weird to say? And it's like right at the beginning of the game, so it puts a bad taste in your mouth right away. And remember, oh my god, remember when Snake sewed what was it, a key or a needle into his skin, but he did it in the shape of like the boss's C-section scar? which is really stupid. I know we love the boss, but I just wanted to imitate her C-section scar. It's weird, but it's fun to play. It's fun to manage your base. It's fun that Big Boss invented Doritos. It's fun that Big Boss invented Axe body spray. That's in the original release of the game. It's not in the HD collection, but he does invent them in the original game, I promise you. And that's cool. Is Peace Walker a B or a C? Peace Walker is a low B. I honestly prefer Twin Snakes over Peace Walker because as dumb as this one is, it still feels like classic Metal Gear. This is where they kind of started to branch out and stuff I didn't like as much. I think that's comfortable for me right now. If you guys disagree, you can yell at me in the chat, but I think that makes the most sense. Okay. What do we want to choose next? Okay, just really quickly, I'm not going to dwell on this one. Metal Gear Solid Touch. I was a dumb baby when this came out, even though I was graduated from high school. I think I got an iPhone because I wanted to play this. And all it is MGS4 in the most basic form. It's Snake hiding behind cover and you just tap on bad guys to shoot them. And that's the whole game. It's kind of dumb. It's entirely forgettable. It's worse than Snake's Revenge. Not because it's offensive. Like, Snake's Revenge at least has some funny shit in it, like Snake looking like Duke Nukem saying this is Lieutenant Solid Snake is hilarious. That's more entertainment right there than I got out of this game. This game's just so nothing that I think it belongs there. Like, I would never think about this game again if I wasn't making a tier list right now. So yeah, forgettable is worse than stupid. All right. Do I do MGS5 or Revengeance first? Revengeance. I love you, Revengeance. I remember when they first announced Metal Gear Rising, or Metal Gear Solid Rising is how it was originally announced. I was so hyped for what they were selling. They'd show Raiden cutting like everything, and it was cutting exactly the way his sword went, chopping up little watermelons, cutting support structures off of buildings and having them fall on soldiers. That was so cool. And then we learned that there wasn't really a game behind that. All they had managed to really do is create a tech demo, and they didn't know what to do with it. And Kojima got pissed and canceled it, and then they gave it to Platinum Games, who turned it into a real video game. The cutting wasn't like it was in that original trailer, which, by the way, if you've never seen the Metal Gear Solid Rising trailer, if you're a younger viewer, you should go check that out, because it was almost a very different game. And then they announced it as Metal Gear Solid, or not even Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Revengeance. And I remember my first time seeing that trailer when he throws the ray up into the air. Normally, that would be 100% my shit. But watching the trailer, I was like, oh, they ruined it. Oh, it's not special anymore. Oh, Kojima didn't write it. It's not going to be good. This game's going to suck, but I have to play it anyways because it's Metal Gear. So I'm going to play it so that I can hate on it and tell everybody why it's bad, and I can hate it with authority because I spent money on it and I played it, and then I bought it and I played it, and I was like, this is one of the best ones. This is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is one of the best Metal Gear games. It's got, this is a weird take. I think it's got my favorite bosses in the series. And I say that knowing that Psycho Mantis exists and the End exists. I really like Desperado. I really liked, like, I was going through that game, I was like, I'm not gonna learn how to parry. I'm doing fine, I don't need to parry shit. And then I got to the Monsoon fight, and he pushed my shit in. And that's when I realized I have to learn how to parry, and I have to do it now. And the amount of satisfaction I felt, parrying in this game is really easy, it turns out, but at the time I didn't know that. The amount of satisfaction I get from parrying Monsoon now because of how many times he kicked my ass, and parrying Armstrong because of how many times he kicked my ass, it's like the highest highs I could feel gameplay wise in this series. And the music! We didn't even talk about the music! Revengeance has the sickest soundtrack! Oh my god! And like when you're fighting bosses and then you're about to beat them and the lyrics kick in like you're in an anime, holy shit, this game's amazing. And they just fully commit to it. Like, it's not dumb accidentally, like Peace Walker. It's dumb, like they know it's dumb, and they love how dumb it is. Sometimes it can be a bad thing if you're making something dumb on purpose, but the fact that they clearly love how dumb it is makes such a difference. Looks like it's time for Jack to let her rip. It's like, oh my god, it's so charming. And the fights are so fun, and everything in this game is so fun. And it's so cool looking when you rip the spines out of the robots and crush them every single time. Oh, what I wouldn't do for like an HD re-release of Revengeance. That's all I want. My brain says no, but my heart says yes. You can hate me if you want. I love Metal Gear Solid. It's an S tier. Metal Gear Solid's S tier. But the amount, like, oh. If Devil May Cry didn't exist, I'd be saying that Metal Gear Rising is the best character action game ever made. I feel very strongly about Revengeance, especially, and I think part of it could be because I expected it to be really bad. And the amount of surprise, and then you can beat it quickly. I guess you can beat this one in like under 10 hours too, but just keep going through it. And you know what? I could talk about Revengeance all day and why it's great. Play Revengeance, by the way, if you haven't. Most people have, it turns out. All right. Well, if that didn't piss people off, it's time to talk about MGS5. I don't like MGS5 like at all. I have this weird thing with MGS5 where I can appreciate the things that it does well if I'm looking at it logically. I think it's really cool that they made a game with such a huge sandbox that allows you to beat missions in any way you want. It gives you a billion tools to let you beat missions any way you want. If you want to go loud, you can get 1,000 different guns, 1,000 different vehicles. You could ride in on a horse. You could go in with a wolf. You can send a helicopter to attack a base from one side while you have a sniper rifle on the other side while they're distracted fighting the helicopter. That is super neat and super cool, and how I beat most of the game. That's cool. And I wish more games played like MGS5, but I'm not even talking about, you know what? That's a broader topic. Let's focus this on Ground Zeroes first. Ground Zeroes is cool. Ground Zeroes should not have released for like $45 Canadian or whatever it was. That's insane. Ground Zeroes should have been like a demo that you could get before MGS5. If you pre-ordered it, maybe they just give you Ground Zeroes a few months before this came out. That would have been cool. I would have been fine with that. And Ground Zeroes is a fun demo. There's some stuff in it that makes you feel a little gross. And I'm not saying that games and media shouldn't tackle some of the subject matter that's in Ground Zeroes. I think that if you have something genuine to say, I'm dancing around it. If you have something genuine to say about stuff like SA and stuff like that, and you have a message that you want to put out there about it, more power to you. You can make stuff featuring that content, absolutely. I don't think this game really has much to say about it other than it's bad. It makes me feel gross when I play it. It puts my head into a really gross place, and I don't know if that was the point. Like, I can forgive that if that's the point. Like, Last of Us makes me feel like shit, but that's the point, and I love The Last of Us for it. I don't know, man. I'm not, like, while I'm trying to like roll around inside of a base and do all these fun, wacky things to infiltrate them, I don't like feeling the way that these games make me feel, because on one hand, I'm trying to have fun, but in the back of my mind, I know the stuff that Chico was forced to do and the stuff happening with Paz, and it's weird. It plays very well. It's very polished, but it's very short. It's very expensive. Ground Zeroes, I did do everything in Ground Zeroes. Like, I unlocked everything and max ranked everything. It didn't take long, but it was fun to do that at the time. They replaced David Hayter, which also makes me feel gross with Kiefer Sutherland, but they didn't replace, and a lot of people, we'll talk more about that with Phantom Pain. For now, Ground Zeroes. Fine, you're better than Acid 1. Go in high C tier, if my computer will let you. Oh my god. Guys, I'm not... There we go. Okay, fixed it. Ground Zeroes, high C tier. Now, for what I really want to talk about, which is Phantom Pain. I do not like this game. I do not like that they decided, you know what, we'll tell the story through gameplay. And what they meant by that is, here's 1,000 audio tapes for you to listen to. And I do not like that they replaced David Hayter with Kiefer Sutherland, which some people defend as being like, well, he's not Big Boss. Only sometimes he is Big Boss, because who leads you out of the hospital at the beginning of the game? And who do you meet on the motorcycle at the end of the game? That guy's played by Kiefer Sutherland, and that's weird. And then in the Japanese version of the game, Akio Utsuka, who plays the old Snake, still plays Venom Snake, so it was just star fucking, which I like Kojima still, but the star fucking thing bothers me, and this was kind of like the big beginning of that, where it's like, we got Kiefer, and I like Kiefer Sutherland. 24 is amazing, and like, if David Hayter had been hit by a train like before this game came out, and they're like, who should we get to replace him? Even though he doesn't sound like him, if they'd said it's gonna be Kiefer Sutherland, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But David Hayter was right there. And it's not that he even has a lot to say, but he doesn't, this sounds dumb because he's not the same character, but the fact that he doesn't seem like the same character makes me not give a shit about him. Let's focus on something positive. I hate being negative. I'm not normally this negative. I've had so many glowing things to say about all these games. Positive is this game has a really cool meta narrative that I am choosing to believe was intentional about Phantom Pain. Missing what is lost because the game is unfinished. You know what? I don't believe it was intentional, but regardless of intention, it does create that feeling. The game is unfinished. We know that there was an ending somewhere that got stolen from us because Kojima got fired, and that was bullshit. That absolutely was bullshit. I'm not hating on Kojima for this game, by the way. This is studio meddling at its finest. It's Konami firing him mid-game, and and missing what wasn't finished. Like, the Phantom Pain message, regardless of whether it was intentional, is there, and that's what makes good art. And the game plays good, as I keep saying. It plays really good. Like, I wish we got a Metal Gear game with the story of these games that played like this game, but we didn't. And like, after a few hours of sneaking through bases, there's only 2 maps, really. They're big maps, so there's a lot of variety on them, but it seems monotonous. You get halfway through the game and then you're like, do it all again. Second half of the game is just play it all again, but get better rankings, I guess. It's annoying. It's stupid. I hate MGS5. I will die on that hill. In fact, let's, when did I click on that one? Yeah. Let's create a game. Oh shit. Oh shit, let's rename that. I hate you. It gets its own category. A lot of Metal Gear fans do not agree with me on this, and that's fine. But it has to be said. I got like 90%. Like, I played a good, like, I beat the game and I got like 90% completion with capturing all the animals and S ranking certain missions. I didn't get 100. I never wanted to go back to it. Having your helicopter blast Hall & Oates is cool. But aside from that, that's where that one dies. Survive, never played. I might play it if chat begs me to one day, or maybe I'll set like a stream goal for it, but I've also felt no need to ever play Survive. I was still mad at Konami at the time. I'm not mad at Konami now. They've made some good games. Those Silent Hill 2 remake was really good, even though Bloober made it. They had a big hand in it. Silent Hill F, great. And this game, the last game on our list, also a recent Konami game developed in-house, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And I gotta tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by Delta Snake Eater. because I remember when those trailers were coming out and I was watching like the new way the characters were designed, and I was like, they don't quite look right. I'm gonna zoom out so we can see the tier list. They don't quite look right. Something about Ocelot looks weird, and something about Eva looks a little weird, and I think they might have lost a lot of the personality. The color palette isn't there. I don't know how I feel about this. It's probably gonna be some soulless, like, you know, when you see like a picture of Kirby in a picture of Kirby in Unreal 5, and they're like, look what Nintendo is keeping from us. And you're like, that wouldn't be cool because it kind of robs Kirby of its personality. That's kind of how I thought this one was going to turn out. Then I played it. And first of all, they brought back a lot of stuff that we haven't had in a very long time to MGS3. That wasn't in the Legacy Collection, wasn't in the Master Collection, the HD Collection. Like, they brought back Snake vs. Monkey in its entirety with the new graphics. They brought back the Nightmare sequence, Guy Savage, and with the help of Platinum, remade it into something that was even better. They brought back the Secret Theater with new Secret Theaters. They did Demo Theater. I was shocked that this wasn't just a lazy cash grab. They actually did it. They added value to this game, because now when I feel the mood to play MGS3, I don't want to play the HD Collection version or the Master Collection version. I want to play the complete version. The one that has everything, the one that has the Nightmare sequence in it. And like on top of that, it controls really well. And like, I love Delta Snake Eater actually. And the fact that they were faithful to like Kojima's directing and stuff, I think is like, obviously they were always going to bring Metal Gear back eventually in some form. And they were never going to bring it back with Kojima there. They were never going to rehire Kojima, say all is forgiving. And even if they did, I doubt Kojima would want to do that. He's happy where he is. He's his own boss. Why would he ever do that? This is the best possible version of that. They preserved his directing. They preserved the game, except for they made it look prettier. And by the way, I was talking about the character models before. It didn't bug me in game. Like, I think they tweaked, especially Ocelot before it came out. Now Ocelot has this cool thing where he looks like old man Ocelot, but young. Like his face looks like Ocelot's face from the other games. And I think that's neat. And his hair color is a little closer. Like it's almost like, it's still blonde, but it's like a white blonde now. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat pull. I'm doing a weird thing in my head because I know I've made some weird decisions so far that probably are gonna make me lose a lot of credibility, like saying Revengeance is better than Metal Gear Solid, and saying that MGS5 is a piece of shit, even though I'm right. I'm doing a weird thing. I'm not gonna put it above original MGS3. I'm not gonna put it above original MGS3. I almost did. Because if you ask me right now, I've never played a Metal Gear before, which one should I play? I would probably say go play Delta. It's the first in the timeline. You don't really lose anything that you get in original MGS3. You don't lose anything, you get it all. Only it plays like a modern video game. Like there's not the price. That's maybe the one strike against it. This should not be like a full price game. You should wait for a sale. But if you're like a mega Metal Gear fan like me, I don't think you'll regret paying full price for it, even though using logic, it probably shouldn't be. I can concede to that. And we got multiplayer coming this month. Like it's not the same multiplayer. And that's something I forgot about when I was saying they brought everything back. They did not bring back MGO. But I never really played MGO. I think I only played MGO when I'd bring my PS2 over to my friend's house and he had an Ethernet cable. I didn't have that in my bedroom, and we'd hook it up and we tried it a few times, and that was really my only experience with it. So I guess that's the only thing you're losing, but we're gonna get Fox Hunt at the end of this month. So we do get something to replace it. So it doesn't really feel like we lost very much. I'm gonna say it goes in S tier. Because it's great, and I have zero problems with it. Like, I have zero problems with this game. right there. Behind Metal Gear Solid 1. Still one of the best Metal Gear games. It's got this game's story. It's got this game's directing. It's got all this game's shit. So I think it belongs here. It just doesn't have a fresh, exciting story. And, excuse me, the original multiplayer of this game. Whoa, okay, that's a tier list right there, folks. That's a tier list. I'm just looking at it saying, do I make any changes? I'm right. Okay. We'll leave it. Thank you for joining me for this. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to try something other than just like uploading my VODs to YouTube. I wanted to try something fun, and I had fun doing this, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and some of my own feelings surprised me here. I did not expect to put Revengeance in front of MGS1, but it's the honest choice, and it's the right choice.